Joe Driscoll, I can call Joe Driscoll while you do this motion and sign the paperwork that Steve has. He can join us by Zoom.
And should we go
If
to
you would-
non-public for?
We would
Yep.
go into
Okay,
non-public,
perfect.
so he can talk to us both. Go
Okay,
ahead.
this is a special meeting of the Waterville Valley Board of Selectmen at February 2nd, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Purpose is to discuss a limited number of items, the first of which is to accept and sign bond documents for the USDA on loan refinance. And just to explain what happened here, our original signatures went on a document in which the loan was estimated at $1,402,344. The actual loan amount is $1,414,547, and the bond paperwork has been corrected so that that new figure is the one that appears throughout. So I would like to move that we accept and sign the bond document as amended.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right.
All right. And so the other thing for public is the warrant.
Right.
Good news, the warrant is shorter than it was last year.
Oh, good. That's always good news, right?
It's a low bar from
Yeah.
last year.
Last year was 28 articles,
Yeah.
so we had nowhere to go but down. I have not finalized it, but I wanted you to look at it and make sure that we have everything in there that you were expecting, and that it's in generally the order that the first 4 articles are mandated to be in the order that they are in, and that's
And they're voted on directly, right?
the first 3 will be voted on by ballot,
Mhm.
and then the 4th article is for the bond issue.
Okay,
Okay,
gotcha.
900,000. There's only one of those. And then I put the 2 largest items up next. And that's the emergency breathing apparatus grant money and the sedimentation control on Snows Brook that the Conservation Commission is recommending.
Okay.
All right, and then the others, we've got article number 7 is a combination of the 50,000 for engineering and the 10,000 for Packard's Field maintenance. So they're together as that $60,000 warrant article. And then 20,000 for capital reserve for Curious George, 10 for the fire apparatus capital reserve, 10 for road repair capital reserve. And remember, I have tried to combine those because they're all capital reserves, but the state DRA does not want us to. Then we've got 33,000 for the backhoe lease, 28,000 for the plow truck lease, public works pickup lease for 15, 55,000 for emergency repairs and general maintenance of the water distribution system and wastewater collection system. That's the pipes. And then 15,000 for rec department boat operations storage area at the gazebo in Town Square. Then Article 16 will be the big article. And that ties out, those are the numbers that tie out to the 4,860,000. This number, 4,860,000, is at the reduced Schuss number. It's back to 55,500.
We didn't hear anything back from them. correct?
We have met with Katie or talked to Katie, met with her by Zoom, and she said she would get us a budget, but we have not seen it yet.
Okay,
And so just a question, if we get that this afternoon or something after you leave, Margaret, how do you guys want to handle that? Do you want to go in with this number and do an amendment at town meeting? Do you want to change this number if if Mike and Rich are okay with it.
Wait
do you-
a minute. I think that's a very, very good idea to go into town meeting with an amendment, because it'll bring to the forefront to the community how the buses operate. So people kind of have a blind sight over, we sign it every year, we go with it. So if it does come in at a change thing, I would be very, very comfortable with doing it that way.
We
And-
don't have an agreement yet.
Right.
We don't
No.
have a signed agreement,
No,
and I don't
no.
want to put something in the budget if we haven't signed the agreement.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
Right, so-
fine with that.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay,
I don't think anybody realizes how that
all right.
Yeah.
So
juice bus
So we'll
is.
stay with the 4,860,000. We'll stay with the 4,860,000. That's with the reduced amount.
Right, and if we get an
And-
agreement signed before we get to town
Right.
meeting, then we'll put in an amendment to
Sure.
whatever.
Okay. And then we've got the ordinances.
Mhm.
I put, do you care if solid waste is before the parking ordinance? I can put them in numeric order. So it'll go 20, 21, and 29 or whatever it is. Those numbers.
I think there probably will be more discussion about parking than the
Yeah.
others, so
So
I
do
will
you
go
want
ahead
that
and
to
put
go
the
first?
parking first.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
okay. So I'll leave, no matter what the numbering is, I'll put parking first. Do you, then we have our two catch-alls, right, which is the report of agents,
Mhm.
auditors, and committees. Do you want to pull out, because the Renewable Energy Committee wants to do a report? I know that IRIT is, wants to do a recycling committee report. I don't think Mike really needs to do a solid
Aren't they
waste.
doing it in the annual report?
They do have it
I-
in the,
I would think in the essence of time, you asked them to prepare a written report handout.
well, they got their reports. in
Yeah,
the
but I mean, if
town
they
report.
wanted to make any points other than in what's the town report, that they have a written report and a handout to give to people. So it doesn't become a question and answer on people who've never heard of either of these committees, wanting to know what they do and how they do and want to change them while we're sitting there at the end of a 4-hour meeting.
Well, this is the first I've heard of this. We've had two municipal solid waste committee meetings.
Oh, I don't think they're gonna give a report.
No.
But I think
the
any of
recyc-
these
you're talking about the
committees-
renewable energy or the recycle subcommittee of the solid waste committee.
Well, I know that she is gonna wanna talk about recycling at
I-
town meeting. She has said that on several occasions.
I
Yeah.
understand, but I think she needs, anybody who wants to talk about something
Mhm.
has to prepare a brief that people can have. Because we're going to sit there with someone who's completely unfamiliar with the thing, who has their own ideas of how it should run and want to talk about it for an hour.
Well, Marilyn can control that. Marilyn's gonna lay
Yeah.
out the rules. I mean, Marilyn hasn't changed her rules. So
But-
they're gonna have a couple of minutes to do a presentation. She's not gonna let them go
Oh, no,
on
but I'm
for
wondering if
hours.
there isn't a handout for people to use as a point of reference.
Yeah,
The amount of questions that could come from the floor and answer back and forth could go on for an hour or so on any of these topics.
Maybe they want to set up an information table.
That's what
as
I'm
people
trying to
come
get
in,
at.
As
Right.
people come in.
I'm even being more bureaucratic or procedural than
Yeah.
this. The committee, the subcommittee, recycling subcommittee is part of the solid waste. We haven't talked about this presentation.
Okay.
I don't want to see any presentation until the solid waste committee has had an opportunity to discuss
oh,
it.
okay.
That's what I'm trying to, and we
Yeah.
have a solid waste committee meeting on the the 1st of March.
Right.
So
You'll have
if
a
it's
week.
solid waste, now if you're talking about the renewable energy committee, that's a separate entity.
No,
See, but that's what I mean. There could be 4 or 5 of these entities that want to get up and present and open up a whole new,
Right, and I'm not against that. I mean, they are town bodies.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a matter of time and how we want to do it.
Right,
So
but
I'm
that's-
open to any.
see, that's why I'm asking for a point of reference for their discussion instead of coming up and bringing something without.
Right,
I will get them to do a 1-page summary of anything that they
Right.
want to talk about.
Right.
Okay, IRIT does not view recycling as, I know that it is,
Right.
that it's a subcommittee of
Right,
solid
right.
waste, but she is not viewing it that way. She is thinking of herself and her group
Right,
that meets as a separate committee. And
That's.
And we
the-
can, I
that's-
can have the conversation with her
yes,
about your part of solid waste.
Yes.
If you want to do anything at town meeting, you need to go through the solid waste committee.
Hmm.
Is that fair?
yes.
Okay,
I think otherwise this thing becomes a
Yeah.
Thing unto its own.
six-headed.
That's exactly what I'm talking about with all
Right,
these
yes.
groups
Yeah.
being able to
Right.
do.
Renewable energy, is that a separate committee from?
it is a
Yeah,
separate.
that's
committee.
Kim.
From,
That's Kim.
I know it's Kim, but is that a subcommittee or just?
No, that's their own.
Okay.
There's
okay.
their own thing, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
you want just a page. Are you okay with her standing up if she talks off of the page?
I would not want to speak on behalf of the chair of the committee or the full committee
Hmm.
as to what we want to say in front of the town.
No, I'm not saying that, but are you looking for an update from the Renewable Energy Committee if they base it on that handout?
I would not want to take that decision away from the committee
Okay,
and the chair.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay,
I'm
so
I'm
you're
being very,
okay.
I know I'm being
No,
very
no.
bureaucratic.
No,
I'm
I think
not-
you're right,
No,
Rich.
just-
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I
right,
just want
that's
it to
all
be
I'm
staffed
asking is,
No.
is there
Right.
any hesitation?
No,
on
just
your
the,
part
just
having-
the parameters of
Yes,
how they're going to do that and
they gotta
and
do it
provide,
within the time limit.
but providing a background. So,
Maryland's gonna-
so the 5
Right.
minutes is nothing. Once you open up a can of worms, it can go on for 2 hours.
That's right.
Remember the tulips.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand.
Or whether
Yeah.
tulips.
No, it was something that was a 5 minute
Daffodils.
conversation that went for 2
Daffodils.
hours.
Daffodils?
$2,000
Daffodils,
for
yeah.
daffodils.
Yeah,
Yes,
but,
we did that.
and whatever is said is going to be subject to the committee,
Right,
Yeah.
because they will be seen as speaking on behalf of the committee.
correct.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Right.
want to have the committee meeting so whatever they want to talk about, they need to present it to the committee. The
Okay.
subcommittee does.
Fine. And what about the chapel committee? Do we want to give the update on what has happened, assuming that we get the purchase and sale signed? Or do we want to let them give an update on where they are? Or do you want a combination of the
I
two?
would say, let's see how we go on, how we wind up with anything, if there is any progress before town meeting.
Are
Well-
there any rules of the road with regard to non-official presentations?
Anyone can bring up whatever they
Anybody
want at
can
the end.
bring
Anybody can bring up whatever they want.
And Article 21 lets anybody
Anybody-
bring up anything.
Okay,
You know,
Nice.
we can have something prepared if they want something prepared, or maybe we can meet together and figure out how we want to present this once we know where we are.
Okay,
but I mean, they can certainly speak.
Of
to-
course they can, but if
Whatever
they
they're
want
saying,
to,
that's all I was
but if they
gonna
want
say.
something that is endorsed by the selectmen, the
Okay.
selectmen should have some feedback.
all right.
Yes,
Is there
I
any,
agree.
is there anything else other than solid waste, energy, chapel? Is there anybody else who
I think history might,
Historical Society may want to?
yes, we have our meeting tomorrow. And I'll check with Reggie. But I think she was planning on saying a few words.
Okay,
But have a handout ready to back up the.
That's in the budget though, correct?
Yes,
yeah,
yes. That's why I think she
Yeah.
wants to say a few words, just to thank and to
okay,
show what the money has been used for.
Yeah, see, that's why the handout, so people will be less prone to ask the obvious if it's in front of them.
Right.
You know, we'll still have people ask the obvious, but. Refer to your handout. Thank you for your question. No, I'm not
no,
joking.
I get it. And then the final thing is I have been putting the numbers together. I just want to quickly go through these. There's two more for at the end.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, wait, there's more. But I just. Some of these numbers.
One
Are
direction.
one direction, but there are
Oh, wait a
others
minute.
that are,
Sewer.
yeah, water sewer and, so the population number is what we've been talking about, no surprise there, motor vehicles. The second slide, motor vehicle registration numbers mirrors the population, which we would expect. We have no idea what happened in 2016 that caused the big influx of people, and then people vacated in 17, but it happened. So, but the trend is definitely up. Police calls for service, the third slide. It's up and down, but it is definitely trending up. Fire and EMS are, I don't know if you want me to include those, but it's very consistent.
It's interesting with an increase in population,
Yeah,
that's a straight line essentially.
yeah.
Mhm.
Building permit values speak for themselves. And I,
Indeed.
you know, water, sewer. I don't know how much detail you want me to get into, but basically up until 2019, up until 2018, we had infiltration and inflow into the sewer. So that is probably why we are
Yeah.
seeing
The drop off
The-
once we fix it.
the drop off after we fixed it. That's part of it. There's also the water ban that we put in place in
2019, wasn't it?
beginning of
Mhm.
2019, which is the big drop off, part of the big drop off, and then the pandemic. The sewer number is generally higher than the water number because the mountain, the base lodge has its own water, right? They get it from a well, but they send their sewer to the treatment plant.
Mhm.
So that's why the sewer numbers are generally higher than, and you'll notice that those numbers are going down as well as the water use numbers, and that's pandemic and commercial is what we're attributing that downward trend to. And I think that the downward trend would have been even more steep had we not had the increase in full-time population. I have to talk to Jim about solid waste disposal and recycling. I have no idea why we are
What, that-
trending so far down. The only thing I can think of is back in 2005, we took demolition debris from everything. Okay, so whenever a condo development replaced the roofing or anything like that, they brought that demolition debris here. Now, we require them to have their own dumpster and dispose of it themselves. So that material, there was a lot of those types of projects
Mhm.
back then.
Mhm.
And so that's why I think we were up near 1,200 tons.
Mhm.
And then you see the steep drop off. As far as, and then the drop off since 2019, we attribute to commercial. The recycling numbers, I don't know if this is going to get people into an uproar, but the numbers went up in 2015 because we started single stream recycling, and we ended that in 2018. So that's where that bump comes from.
Right.
But we are only recycling metals and mattresses.
Yeah.
And TVs,
No household
that
trash.
sort of, no household
That's
trash,
the,
okay? And then the staffing number, I was putting in to show that we've been very consistent in our staffing numbers. And we're not very, the numbers have not changed significantly since 2005.
again, interesting in light of the population increase.
But are any of those numbers or anything missing that you think it makes enough of a case for?
It does. I would just, on that recycling, I would put in big lines. This does not, this is industrial recycling, not not household, something that makes it seem,
Household trash, I think, is that the usual? term?
just whatever the phrase is, so people don't think, well, we're recycling this stuff, how come we can't do more?
Okay,
If you want to put it in your mattress, we'll do it.
okay, very good.
Probably it could just be something
Maybe
after
check
the
marks.
2018 single stream recycling ended. Now only industrial recycling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering on the big bump up we have and the drop, the tonnage on, are all of our loads weighed or is it just by pull as well? Because we went to a larger truck and I'm wondering if that has anything to do with anything.
No, all that.
So the
would
truck is the
do-
tear.
It is a weight, it is weight.
So the truck's the tear, it doesn't make any
Yes,
difference. Okay.
correct. You want to talk to Joe?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll get him on the phone and if you want to go into non-public.
Okay, can I have a motion to go into non-public for our last item?
I will make that motion to go into non-public.
Second.
for our last
All
item.
right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Sharon.